Welcome to Meet the Candidates, a forum for candidates in the August 9th primary election for mayor of Inoka. The two top vote getters in this election will be on the ballot in the general election on November 8th. Thanks to the candidates, those who submitted questions, the facility managers, and the viewing audience for making this event possible. The forum is being recorded. Thank you, QCTV, for your video production. I'm Sandy Connor, a member of the Anoka, Blaine, Coon Rapids Area League of Women Voters, the sponsor of this forum. I live in Blaine, so I can't vote for any of these candidates. All candidates for the race were invited to participate in the forum, and we are delighted that all accepted. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose any political parties or candidates for office. I'm sure all of these candidates care very much who you vote for, but the League does not. The League does hope that each of you will vote. The goal of our forums is to help citizens become informed voters. The candidates and the League are here to provide information. Welcome to the Anoka Mayoral candidates Virginia Louden, Phil Rice, and Clay Shepard. In lieu of opening statements, we will begin with two questions which were provided to the candidates in advance. This will be followed by questions from the public which were submitted in advance. We will end with closing statements from each candidate. Candidates will take turns going first. For the first two questions, answers are limited to 90 seconds. So, Candidate Rice, what is your motivation to run for this office, and what experience or knowledge would help you serve effectively?
Well, let me start by just saying thank you to the League of Women Voters for all that you do, but particularly this evening for hosting us and providing voters the opportunity to meet us and have us share our ideas. I'm running for office because I view public office as public service, and I believe that I have the talents and skills to provide sound leadership to the City Council and the City of Inoka. I have been in office now for some years, and I think that if people have been paying attention, they recognize that I'm patient and kind, and that I listen and I judge and I vote fairly, and I think that's really what it's all about. This office and our City Council is about taking care of the City of Inoka. City's been here for 150 years, and it'll be here for 150 more, and so it will operate just fine without any of the three of us after we're long gone. But for now, we're stewards, and our job is to take care of the city and take care of the residents that live here, and I believe I'm the best candidate for that.
Thank you. Candidate Louden, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thank you. I have been a resident of Inoka for almost 20 years. I was love at first sight. And quite a few years ago, I knew that eventually someday I would want to partake in city government. And I thought, hey, I'm gonna do this someday when I have 5 children. When my kids are grown and out of the house, I'm going to do that. And then I was sitting maybe about 5 years ago, and I realized I live here now. I own a home here now. I'm raising my children here now. I have a small business here now. Why am I gonna wait until everybody is gone out of my home before I'm gonna, step up and do what I think I'm ready to do? So I ran for city council 4 years ago, and it went really well. And I tried to prepare myself, but you just can't really. There's not a training manual to be, how are you gonna run for city government? So I had to jump in and do it. And it went really well my first time. And then COVID happened a couple years ago, and I hunkered down with my family. And now it was time again to either vote or to run. And when I looked at the candidates that were available to me to vote for, I just wasn't ready to vote for them. And I decided it's time to put up or shut up. And so I am here, and I am running for the City of Inoka mayor, and I'm ready.
Thank you. Candidate Shepard, would you like me to repeat the question?
No, thank you. Howdy, folks of Inoka. How's it going? I'm just going to read a prepared statement that I had to answer the question. So, I've been a dentist in this area for 34 years, and I've owned my practice for that long, so I think I know how to run a business. I believe in serving others and finding lasting solutions to problems. This position will also help me give back to society on a larger scale, which has always been my biggest desire. Given that mayors are mandated to serve the community, they should have extensive and excellent leadership skills. They should also be politically savvy, able to attract businesses, jobs, and tourists. Other qualities are administrative ability, honesty, management skills, good communication skills, and the ability to make tough decisions, delegate work, and inspire others. I'm not here to deride the current mayor by suggesting he's not doing a satisfactory job, but merely to offer another option for the people of Inoka seeking change. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, candidate Louden, what are your goals for Anoka's future?
My main 4 goals are transparency, inclusion, growth, and strengthening the community. But those each are multifaceted. It's not so simple. As far as transparency goes, as a longtime resident and somebody who has been following along, I have seen firsthand how so many voters and community members and residents are feeling not in the know anymore. The information that is coming out of the city council and decisions that are being made are being done so in a way that is not transparent. And it's coming to the point where things aren't coming to the voters and residents' attention until things are too far in. And I think we need, as a city government, to do more to make it easier for regular people to access information. What is being worked on? Nothing should be being done quietly, privately, under the table. It all needs to be done so that everybody has a say and that they feel welcome to come here and give their opinion. And that is my main goal, is bringing people back.
Thank you. And candidate Shepherd.
Howdy again. I have 3 top priorities. I think it's important to have a safe community. People want to feel safe and secure in their city, and it gives confidence to those considering living here. I think we need to further our economic strength. A financially strong city ensures a lasting community to grow and prosper. And like candidate Louden, I feel that it should be a diverse, welcoming, small town feel. In order for the city to grow and new people to come and live here, the city must have a diverse population and welcome those that want to live here. I would like to promote the community to provide public safety in our neighborhoods, build sustainable funding streams, support long-term goals so organizations can strengthen their capacity for sustained service provision, support clients without fear of funding reductions, and leverage public investment to diversify funding sources. That's it.
Thank you, candidates. Now I will ask the candidates. Oh, that's right. Candidate Rice, I'm sorry. What are your goals for Anoka's future?
Well, our goals don't change very much, really. It is always to provide a reasonable budget. And within that, meaning that we're controlling our spending, that we're careful about our spending, that we're not frivolous, that we're not buying things that we don't. Everything doesn't need to be shiny and new. We can work with what we have. And then, of course, there are times that we have to spend money. We have to raise taxes at times, but I think our city council has done a terrific job of managing that. I think you're paying now in taxes probably pretty close to what you paid 15 years ago. And with everything going up, what that says is that the city of Inoka is doing more with less, and that's been our goal within our budgets. Public safety, of course, I think we've all said public safety and the relationship that our police and fire have with our community and the relationship that our city has with our public safety and fire. And I think that we are doing a very good job of that. I was served on the fire department for 20 years before I got into politics, and I've been here for 16 years. If you like the direction, then I think it's clear what you should choose. We support business. We support improvements in our community, and by improving our roads and our streets and our city properties, our city investments, our parks, what we're doing is welcoming people to do the same. We're inviting neighborhoods to improve their homes and businesses to improve their storefronts and their stores, and those are my goals for the city.
Thank you, candidates. I will now ask the candidates to respond to questions which were submitted by the public via our website and to questions of importance to League of Women Voters. Responses are limited to 1 minute. Candidate Shepherd, what do you feel should be the vision statement for the city of Inoka?
Well, to be honest, I think the vision statement is what it is right now, and I'm not absolutely clear what that is, but I think continuing on with the current vision that the city is pursuing would be fine with me. Not here to make landmark changes in that area, but to do research and ask the people that know more than I do how to serve them the best.
Thank you. Candidate Rice.
Vision statement. On our signs we say real classic. And, it makes me think of Coca-Cola.
Me too.
Inoka is, like I said earlier, a 150-year-old town. And so when we say real classic, we mean it's a real place to live. It's a real downtown. It's a real historic town. We have rivers and history and all of that. And classic, of course, goes along with that. We see a beautiful downtown area. We see beautiful historic neighborhoods and historic towns. We see new housing. We see development. We see redevelopment. We're fully developed as a city. And so in order to see much new housing, there's not a lot of open property in Inoka, so much of that is redevelopment. So we have programs that work toward getting rid of what is not attractive or what is a blight, and then adding in what is attractive and what can be attractive to those looking for something new and shiny.
Thank you. Candidate Louden.
Yes, keep it real, keep it classic. That is what Anoka is, and I fully embrace that. It's one of the things I fell in love with. This place has a beauty and a charm and a nostalgia that not everybody has. So that is very important to me. The only thing I don't want us to lose sight of is being so stuck in being real and being classic that we pigeonhole ourselves into a point where we do not evolve with the growing diversity and the changing of our people and our community. We're not one type of person anymore. We're not just real and classic. We are a melting pot of beautiful people, and I think we need to find the balance between keeping it real and keeping it classic, but also embracing the change that is upon us.
Thank you. And Candidate Rice, describe your style of leadership and how that would impact decision-making in Inoka.
Well, I think that my style, my philosophy is kindness, and it is not to bully or step on or intimidate. And I am a listener, and so I want to ask you what you think, and then I want to hear you tell me what you think. That's my style. I have strong beliefs, and I have stances that sometimes I have to take strong. A budget and financial decisions, those, I'm much more conservative in my financial decisions than I am in other areas of my life. I'm a social worker in my career, and so I take a pretty somewhere between liberal and moderate stance socially, but there are times when you have to stand up and argue, and I think I am thoughtful and articulate and concerned and inviting. And so that patience and kindness, I think, shine through above all else.
Thank you. Candidate Louden.
As leadership roles in my life, I am a very hands-on learner. When I have a task in front of me or a problem to solve, I need to get in there, get my hands on it, really, roll around in it and figure it out. And I feel like that is a strength. I am a very, caring and nurturing person by nature, which makes me very good with people. I'm good at listening. I'm good at understanding. I'm good at considering what it's like to be in somebody else's shoes. And I feel like those are a couple of my really strong qualities that I bring to the table.
Thank you. Candidate Shepherd.
A little background on who I am might help you understand what I can do leadership-wise. I served in the U.S. Army 82nd Airborne Division from 1974 to 1977, right at the tail end of the Vietnam War. I was a paratrooper, and I jumped out of planes, so I know a little bit about organization, motivation, how to get things done. I've served on the Charter Commission for the City of Inoka a few years ago. I've volunteered at several community dental clinics over the past 20 years. I've been on advisory committees for dental hygiene program at the 916 college. I'm School of Dentistry Alumni Committee member for the past 4+ years. Been on the Minneapolis District Dental Society committee member. Good mayors seek good ideas from people they serve. They're cutting me off now, so I'll finish up later. Thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate Louden, please point to your Anoka has been undergoing changes in demographics with more diverse residents. What's one way in which Inoka might embrace this diverse multicultural identity?
That is actually a very good question. Quite a couple years ago, I ended up being appointed to the Human Rights Commission. And it was one of what I was hoping to be a passion and something I could be very involved in, but it kind of got pushed to the side. But one of my visions I had was, Anoka's a great place for people to come and visit. We have, the Food Truck Festival, and we have all these fun events, Riverfest and everything. I would absolutely love to see over time a cultural festival developed in the city of Inoka, where anybody who lives here, has a business here, could highlight maybe, cultural things that they'd like to share with us, dances, foods, history, and have an actual little festival in the park where all the different cultures that are represented in Inoka could come out and actually show themselves.
Thank you. Candidate Shepherd.
We do have a diverse culture here, and that's a good thing. I think we should think about developing some community programs that addresses diversity. We can even have some programs in the schools that help children understand the diverse nature of the population, start from the ground up and work our ways. I like the idea that Virginia had with some festivals that expound on cultural diversity and give that area of our city a chance to flourish and feel more accepted. And just in general, we should continue to pursue the diverse nature of our city that we are following right now. So, thank you.
Thank you. Candidate Rice.
I think that we embrace diversity by becoming educated as to what our history is and what others' histories are, and becoming aware of their needs. I think one of the ways we welcome them is by saying hello. We're out on our streets, we're in our neighborhoods, we're in our stores, and just showing an open hand and welcoming and saying hello. Most acutely, I think, arts and music. And so we do, through our park and recreation board, we do concerts in the park, those sorts of things, and having those be appealing to different cultures, diverse cultures, and welcoming others to share with us. We have a lot of festivals. We already talked about it, food trucks and Riverfest and Halloween and all those things, Christmas tree lighting, where there are thousands of people in town, and that's a great opportunity to say hello and say welcome and say, how does this all fit with you?
Thank you. And continuing with a similar question, Candidate Shepherd, please point to your record and accomplishments to show how you will work with the diverse interests of Anoka citizens so that everyone feels represented.
Well, diversity isn't just minorities, it's political beliefs, it's the background that people have from where they originally came from. It's their own personal beliefs. But there is a lot of respect for people that are diverse, and we need to continue pursuing that. As a dentist, I see many diverse patients, and you have to understand their needs and wants and try to accept who they are for where they come from and their backgrounds. And I feel like I have that ability to do that.
Thank you. Candidate Rice.
Well, my history is in mental health. My career has been in mental health. And that's the thing about mental health, is that it isn't prejudice about any culture, diversity, group. It spreads across. And so my career has been in listening and then providing or assisting with direction. I like to say it's easy to work in mental health because I know who my boss is, and that's my client. And then I ask my client, what do you want? And when they identify it, then I try to help them get it. And life is like that. And I think that that's how we support diversity, by listening, understanding what people want, and then helping them to get that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Candidate Louden.
Can you repeat the question for me, please?
Sure. Please point to your record and accomplishments to show how you will work with the diverse interests of Anoka citizens so that everyone feels represented.
Well, I have an extensive history as a human resources administrator. I did that for almost 20 years, so I feel like I am good with working with all types of people, whether they're making minimum wage to salaries sometimes you can't believe. And I've founded a nonprofit. I'm a founding president of a local nonprofit. I'm not here to plug that, but we work with families who have a serious or terminally ill family member. I have spent many years and thousands of hours volunteering in our local schools, and you get a really good feel of the kinds of people that make up your community. There's the kids and families that are on their reduced lunches, and then there's the ones that can sign up for every sport in the book. You have to be there for everybody, and you just have to represent everybody and know that you're doing your best for everybody. That's what I do.
Thank you. And Candidate Rice. As mayor, how would you engage with the community outside of meetings and provide opportunities for listening and responding to citizens' concerns and requests?
I'm in the community all the time, and so we talked about festivals and events, those sorts of things. I'm in the community quite often during the week, up for dinner or for cocktails later on in the evening. I get approached everywhere, but also, my phone number is available. People call with concerns. All of our meetings are open to the public. So when we talk about transparency, I don't know how much more transparent you can get than publishing your agenda and making all meetings public. So no more than 2 council members can ever have a conversation about city business, except that it is in a public meeting and we can all talk together. So we do not conduct business except for in public meetings. And so inviting the public to participate in our work sessions, in our agendas, in our meetings, to speak about their passions and their concerns, and to provide direction to the council for how they feel and how they believe other people feel, and bring us all together.
Thank you. Candidate Louden.
I believe one of the first things I would do is to try to check my emails daily, get back to as many as I can. I know when a certain situation blows up, there might be far too many emails at a time, but I feel like keeping up with at least that minimum amount of correspondence. I would like to see possibly more public access to polls on issues. You know, not everybody has the time to attend meetings in person. Not everybody remembers, oh, I've got to get that email into the council by a certain date because I have feelings. It's too easy for everybody to get wrapped up in their life. So I feel like the public needs an easier way to have their say, and we need to be inventive when we decide on that. I also just believe attending events, showing up at, as many as you can. Can you attend every single event? No. We're human, we have families, we have jobs. But I just think being a presence out there so people get to know your face, they get comfortable, they see you're engaged, and they choose to come to you when they have something they want to say.
Thank you. Candidate Shepherd.
That's a good question. I start by saying that I think open forums are one way to allow citizens to come and voice their opinions, but not everybody can get out. So the city of Inoka has a newsletter. They can submit through the newsletter their concerns. Maybe there could be a little paragraph or two that people write into the editor, and they could put questions in there about things. As the others have said, there's email, there's phone contacts, maybe even like a special number for people to call the city and give their opinions, voice their thoughts on what changes they might want to see, and then that could be delivered to the appropriate council members and other committees that might directly benefit from these ideas. So just keeping good listening skills and open mind towards your citizens will help them feel more comfortable about asking questions.
Thank you. And now, Candidate Louden. How do you feel about the proposed city charter amendment, which would move Inoka to a system of wards, a 4-year term for mayor, an increase in council members to 6 plus the mayor, and special elections for vacancies to the council of over 1 year?
I believe that transitioning to wards is a good decision for the future of Inoka. When the way things were written now, Inoka was much smaller. There was way less citizens. So when you were running for office, it was, everybody knew everybody. Everybody knew everybody's reputation. There was a much smaller group. Like if you were going to run for city council, you only had to door knock so many times. Now you have, almost 18,000 people that somehow you're supposed to go reach while you're running for office. Breaking it down into wards will give each section of the city their own dedicated council members that will represent them and live in their area. For example, like when the 10K situation came up and everybody was bombarding the entire council about this issue, had there been wards, they could have focused on their 2 council members, and those people could have worked more closely with their group of voters. And I feel like over time, and the more people engage, there's going to be more situations like that, and I think we have to get ahead of it.
Thank you. Candidate Shepherd.
To be honest, I haven't given much thought to this idea of wards. So I'll just defer my opinion until I can do more research. And then I'll be able to formulate a better idea of whether it's a good idea or not. So I don't believe it's on the ballot unless I'm incorrect about that. It's just an idea getting thrown around right now. So probably I would be better off doing more research before I opine on it.
Thank you. And candidate Rice.
This question has been before the city a number of times, for sure once in the past, but I believe it's been more than one time. I am somewhat ambivalent about this issue. The reason I am is because I understand the idea that it's easier to run in a ward than it is across the entire city. But I think things have been working quite well for the city. I think the city's direction, the city's investments, the city's projects and parks are all doing quite well. And so my opinion is it's really sort of wasteful. I'd hate to add 2 positions, to add time and conversation and argument to decisions that I think are going quite well, and then add another $20,000 a year to the cost of having a city council. The appointments question, I'm inclined to agree. I think the council has done very well in the past with appointments for vacant seats. The last 2 council members that were appointed to the council have gone on to win an election. And so I think it proves that they have public support for what they're doing, and I think that proves that good candidates were chosen for those positions.
Thank you. Candidate Shepherd. How important is historic preservation? What buildings or sites would you like to see preserved?
Well, the cornerstone of Inoka is based on its historic buildings and structures. The downtown area obviously is a good example. I think we should continue to preserve the buildings there and provide funding for anything, well, not necessarily anything, but structures that are needing repairs and formulate loans and other ways of generating financing for the restructuring of any buildings that are failing at this point. So I feel it's a very big thing for me to want to continue with the historic preservation of our city.
Thank you. Candidate Rice.
I'd like you to repeat that question, please.
How important is historic preservation? What buildings or sites would you like to see preserved?
I agree with Clay Shepherd on this question. Inoka is history. And so preserve, I certainly would like to preserve our downtown. We've passed ordinances that preserve the look and texture of downtown, making it against the law to use stucco and things that aren't historic. And so that's why our downtown looks like it looks. And so I think that's very important. We have a historic state hospital. We have historic buildings that are owned by the city, the Well House and the Woodbury House. And so we have, of course, mechanisms for some of that with the Historic Preservation Commission and the Registry of Historic Places, those sorts of things that help us to recognize and support that historic look. The parks have a great opportunity to show that and to display that. And so through storyboards and such, we can help to educate the public and enrich the public with the great history that is right here in the city of Inoka.
Thank you. Candidate Louden.
I believe that preserving the history of Inoka and the different structures is important. Off the top of my head, specifically, which project would I personally like to see? I can't think of one. I will say, after living here for so long, one of my favorites that had come up that never came to fruition was that little rundown amphitheater down by the river. And I know the Wendigo Park Society, they were trying to bring that back. I do not know all the specifics, like how much it was, why it fell through, was there no support, no money. But man, I remember hearing that. I used to live, down by the Tickner Hill and just imagining walking down there and seeing like kids' school music performance or, you know, little theater in the round performance. That just sounds so cool, but specifically, I don't know, but I do believe it's important.
Thank you. And candidate Rice. Citizens of Inoka have many concerns about the Inoka County Board's proposal to establish a new regional jail in the city of Inoka. As mayor, what steps would you take to help the county board understand and address these concerns? What do you want to see as the city's position on this endeavor?
Well, most importantly, I believe the city's position should be not there. It's obviously an important project. It's obviously a necessity. State law requires that the jail be within the county seat, and we are, and so the jail has to be within our city. I think the way that we work with the county and the way that we demonstrate to them how adamant we are about the location is by providing them resources and ideas and help in developing another site that we believe would be more appropriate to have 600 or greater than 450 prisoners at a time. Our greatest objection, I think, to putting the jail there is, first of all, it's huge. And it's right alongside our most historic neighborhood in the city. Secondly, they have to release each of those 450 to 600 prisoners from jail. And when a person leaves jail, they're free to leave however they want to. If they want to call someone for a ride, or if they want to accept bus tokens, or if they want to get a ride from someone else. But some of them just choose to walk out the door, and in our downtown area, that is just inappropriate and should not be there. And so our stance is no, let's find a more appropriate location.
Thank you. Candidate Louden, this was a rather long question. Would you like me to reread it?
No, thank you. I have to say that I agree with Mayor Rice wholeheartedly on his response to that question. I know that no city is going to sit out there and raise their hand and be like, pick me, we want the jail. Somebody's going to end up with it. As a resident, of course, I hope it's not Inoka. But I understand that I need way more information, and there's going to be many talks in the future about this exact issue. I do know I don't want it in downtown Inoka. We don't need a giant jail in the middle of downtown Inoka taking up prime, beautiful, you know, small business and in real estate. The other location I heard of was possibly up 7th, somewhere near the, I forget the name of the road there, but it's kind of between the high school and the mental health facility. I don't want my children driving to high school every day going past a giant prison. So where's the right place? I don't know. Is it going to end up in Inoka? I don't know. But I'm willing to sit and listen to all the information they throw at me.
Thank you. And candidate Shepherd.
Well, first of all, it's not my decision to make where they put the prison, jail, etc. But I'm willing to listen to citizens expose their ideas of where they think it should be, if it should be or not be. Also, talking with the experts that are familiar with projects of this nature. We could also check with other cities that have done this sort of thing in the past and take ideas from them and see what works. If it's a viable option for us, or maybe we become mandated to do it, and then we have to come up with a solution instead of just saying that we don't want it. So you just have to be able to be flexible and listen and consult with people that know what they're doing in this area. So I would be that kind of person to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. And candidate Louden. How should riverfront property in downtown Inoka be used? 10K Brewing or a chain bar restaurant in Inoka? What is your stance on the 10K Brewery proposal?
I believe that the downtown Inoka area should be kept small business as much as possible. And I understand that there's way more to it than that. But if we have an established business that's been around for a long time. They've been doing much good for the community, and they are interested in a property to grow and expand and keep their footprint here in our city limits. I think they need to be taken very seriously. I think that the citizens there should be a poll, an official one, where people can voice their opinions. I would prefer to not see a chain in downtown Inoka. There are other places that it would go much better. You know, when all of the construction is said and done, you've got the Perkins lot sitting right there. It's perfect for a chain. It already was a chain, and the access to it's gonna be great. I think we need to keep downtown Inoka small business and put the chains elsewhere.
Thank you. Candidate Shepherd.
I've done a little thinking on the subject. I don't disagree that local business should be favored. However, we also run a business, the city of Inoka. Who's willing to pay more for the property? That might be a consideration. It's not like we're kicking 10K out of Inoka, but you know, the highest bidder might be the one that gets that property, in my opinion. But again, I don't have the full diagnosis of what's going on in that area, but I'd be more than happy to do some research on it in the future.
Thank you. Candidate Rice.
This is a pretty loaded question. I think I said earlier that all of our meetings are open meetings. Occasionally, the city has a closed meeting when it has to do with real estate transactions. And so I support 10K, I support Jesse Haas and his business there. I think it would be wonderful to have him on a riverside location with a restaurant, bar, and then serving his beer from that location. A couple of months ago, we had a meeting that was a closed session, and we had to evaluate some choices for that. And based on several items, the price, the purchase price, the business financials, the type of restaurant that it was, and the type of business that it was, and the vote came out to be unanimous, including Councilmember Skogquist. At that time, the staff direction was approach a private business that owns, I don't know, probably a dozen other restaurants. So to call that a chain, sure, it's a chain. And so since that time, things have changed a bit. But when you make a real estate offer to someone, you have to wait until they come back to you. I don't think it would be ethical to back out of that deal in the middle of when we've already made an offer and they've accepted an offer. And so we really have to wait and see what happens. I'm welcoming to who comes. I hope for the best. My job, I explained earlier, is to do the best for the city of Inoka, and at that time, it appeared that that was the best decision, and all council members agreed.
Thank you. And now, Candidate Shepherd. Earlier this year, Anoka voted to pilot the state's first social district, the Downtown Entertainment District. If elected, would you support continuing this proposal if it came back before the city council?
Well, to be honest, I'm not even familiar with what that is, but again, as I've said before, I'm willing to listen to things and hear what people say, citizens. You gotta be able to do that in order to make a good decision on what's the proper thing to do for the city, and it depends on other factors that I'm not familiar with. So I'm new to this whole thing, so I'm more than happy to listen. I just can't give you an opinion of how I would address that or believe in what I would do at the time. So.
Thank you. Candidate Rice.
Several years ago, this idea came forward to have an area that we could close off and allow people to serve alcohol outside, serve food outside. We have seen it through our patios through COVID and such. not to the extent that we're talking about with a social district. And a social district is, the city of Inoka went to the legislature and asked them to give us permission to create a social district, which would be a controlled environment in a limited area so that people cannot come and go freely. They have to come through a gate and they have to leave through a gate. And so it would be a controlled environment, and it would be an opportunity to have sort of a party in the street, like a block party, only within a certain district. All of our restaurants, or most of our restaurants, are included in. And so it's a great opportunity for those businesses to thrive, to have an advantage, and for the public to enjoy that. It would only be done if we can control it, and we've not gotten there. We have to study this, figure out how to do it, and where it will be, and all of that. But I do support it. I think it's a great idea, and I think it would benefit a lot of people.
Thank you. And candidate Louden.
I agree. The idea intrigues me, and as a resident and somebody who likes to go enjoy the downtown Anoka area when I don't have I have a babysitter, I would really enjoy to go and spend time in a social district. But as far as, solid yes or no on the situation, there's too many variables that need to be discussed. Who's in charge of, security? Is there going to be a separate security force? Is it going to be the Inoka Police Department? How is it going to affect maybe the above business apartments and people that live there? There's a lot of variables that would need to be discussed and planned out for it to work properly. But if all the pieces fall into place, I'm very for it.
Thank you. Candidate Rice. As mayor, how would you work to decrease criminal activities such as break-ins, theft, trespassing, and car theft in Inoka?
I wish I could. This is a problem in our society, and of course, crime seems to be growing. The way we help to control that is by providing support to our police. And recently, we've added, in the last 3 years, I think we've added 3 officers to our police department. We have to educate people. We have to make sure people are taking the keys out of their car, they're parking it in their garage if they can, that sort of thing, locking their doors, being aware as neighbors to be watchful. These neighborhood watch groups are a great idea for how to help to reduce crime and to control crime. You see something that doesn't look right, you call the police and tell them it doesn't look right. But really, it's supporting our police and fire in doing the jobs that they do, encouraging them, encouraging the communication between the police and the community, and those sorts of things. And I think we're doing all of that now. And of course, the job is still in front of us, so we'll keep working at it.
Thank you. Candidate Louden.
I believe continuing a positive relationship with the local police department and working closely with them. I also wonder why. What is causing this rise in these kinds of activities? Is it our youth? Do they need more activities? Do they need somewhere good to go to hang out and release their energy? Is it because we've come out of a 2-year pandemic and people are hard up for money and they're stealing catalytic converters because they need to sell them and make the money? I think not only do we need to continue a positive relationship with our local authorities, but we need to also kind of get to the root of why this is happening and try to find solutions to stop it, whether that be more neighborhood watch groups. I don't have the answer, but it definitely needs to be dealt with because it is rising.
Thank you. Candidate Shepherd.
Well, I have the answer. Just kidding. Like everybody else has said, we have to support the police. One of the ways I kind of wrote a few notes down, we can support community partners in determining public safety priorities through strategies such as community-based participatory research, grassroots survey, analysis and community engagement of administrative data, and town hall meetings. Then come up with solutions. Ask the city what options are available. Talk to the police. Talk to our citizens. And with that, I really don't know that we have such a bad problem in Inoka, to be quite honest. And it could be because we are following through with a lot of the programs that are already in place right now. So we could always use a little bit more.
Thank you. Candidate Louden. How can Inoka help mitigate a changing climate and become a more environmentally friendly city?
I feel like Anoka has been doing good in this area. I have noticed, all the city events we're using, compostable products. And we host, I believe it's biannual recycling events at the recycling center, and those are advertised very well. Being the day and age it is, there's always going to be more we can do. I would love, the city did it, and I think the Rum River Art Center did it. They were collecting the plastics that you can't really put in your bin, like the bread bags and the cereal bags and all that stuff, to get a park bench. And I think having a permanent place to bring those would be amazing, because even long after we dropped those off, me and the kids, we just kept collecting it. You don't realize how much you have. I think there's more that we can do, and we need to get creative and outreach to the community to find more opportunities to recycle and be green.
Thank you. Candidate Shepherd.
Well, I think we are doing quite a few things right now to enhance the environment and make things greener in Inoka. We could have a committee formed. It just goes along the same lines as all the other issues that people have. You got to listen to the people and come up with ideas. You can go to other cities and see what they're doing with their communities for environmental issues. It's not like other places aren't doing things. We're doing things, and just continuing with what we're doing right now and adding to it as time goes on. It's kind of a no-brainer, to be honest, but you just have to continue the process and not think that you're done with things and sit on your hunches. So it's my opinion.
Thank you. And Candidate Rice.
Like all of these problems, education is the answer. Here we are, and data and everything surrounds us all the time. But here we're changing our light bulbs to low-energy light bulbs. We're changing, I love the philosophy, use it twice. We recycle all that we can recycle. And if we walk into the grocery store with those little handled bags, then we don't have to take bags with us, and we can save that. And we can use that a number of times. I do all the time, use jugs at home or cans or whatever that would eventually go into the recycling. Use it twice before you do. I think that's a great program. The fact that Anoka owns the electric company, and that the state is mandating green energy, and that our electric company is ahead of the state mandates, says we are concerned about energy and we are concerned about our ecology. And we're investing in it. You can pay extra on your electric bill to use green energy instead of carbon energy. And so I think we're working on that. It's a priority, of course. Our world is changing. It will be our grandchildren's world soon, and there has to be a world for them.
Thank you. Candidate Shepherd. How many garbage haulers should be permitted in the city of Inoka, and should any changes be made to the current system?
Wow, just wow. That's a great question. Is it up to me to decide that, or who decides that? I don't know, city council, or is there a committee that decides that? I don't know, 3. That sounds good to me. 3.
Thank you. Candidate Rice.
I've been an advocate for single hauler for quite a while now. I think probably at least 10 years I've been making this argument that we invest so much money in our streets, and we have children, and I always argue we should have more sidewalks because the kids are walking in the street, and then we have 11 garbage trucks going by on that street that morning. or more, because we have garbage, we have recycling, we have yard waste, and then we have 6 companies doing some of those jobs. So it's noise, it's safety, but most of all, I think it's our investment in our streets. And I don't know what the cost of having 6 garbage companies serve Inoka is on our streets versus if we had one that just stopped at every driveway and went, and we didn't have 5 more trucks going by. But I believe it should be one. I've argued for it to be one. I've lost that argument a couple of big times now in the past several years, but I'll continue to say I believe it should be one.
Thank you. Candidate Louden.
I'm going to be honest. I do not know the right answer to this question. I know right now we have many because on Thursday mornings it's very loud in front of my house with the garbage trucks going by all the time. And the strip of road in front of my driveway and mailbox has to get patched up every other year because it gets broken. So I don't know what's the right answer. I would need lots more information. One of those being, if we did have a single hauler, how are we protecting people according to pricing? Like I know myself, I have actually canceled my yard waste this year because it's astronomical. It's super convenient, but you just can't afford it. I'll borrow my mother-in-law's trailer and bring my yard waste to the place myself. I wish I could have a yard waste can. I don't know the right answer. I definitely need more information.
Thank you. Candidate Rice. What are your thoughts on the City of Anoka's proposal to spend $13 million of city cash reserves on expanding Greenhaven Golf Course to a state-of-the-art facility?
Last time that was voted on, I voted no. Greenhaven is a jewel for the city of Inoka. Greenhaven is, in essence, our community center. It is where people can get together. We have weddings and we have functions, we have golf, we have tournaments, we have winter activities. It is a wonderful place, and it would be beautiful to have that be state-of-the-art. If our community values that, then our community should invest in it. It shouldn't be a decision that's made by 5 council members and that much money. It's just too much money that could be used in other ways. And so my argument was we should bring that to the taxpayers. And if the taxpayers are willing to invest in Greenhaven, then we can spend the money and make it what it could be. I do believe there are values to that, and I think the greatest would be that the high school golf team can't play at Greenhaven because they don't have a driving range. Remodeling that course would allow for the driving range, and I think that's an important addition.
Thank you. Candidate Louden.
When I first heard about it, my gut reaction was that it's absolutely crazy at this time to spend that kind of money on that project. I understand that, we own the golf course and the liquor stores and the aquatic center, and it's important to invest in maintenance and keep things up and running. When I heard that the council had decided to sort of put a pin in the golf course for right now, I was relieved. I just feel like at this time, that kind of spending seems frivolous. Like I said, we're coming out of a pandemic. Our workforce isn't as strong as it could be in the state. We've got people hurting for groceries. Gas prices are astronomical right now. I just think now is not the right time to put that kind of money into the golf course, so I'm glad they stopped it. But maintenance and ongoing support, of course.
Thank you. Candidate Shepherd.
I'll mirror the opinions of the other 2 candidates and just say that like Mayor Rice said, I think it's left up to the citizens, taxpayers, to decide if it's worth the money to invest in that property. And if they feel that it is, then I would be for it. If not, then I think that it's probably spending a lot of money unnecessarily at this time. So I don't have a firm yes or no answer.
Thank you. At this time, candidates will have 1 minute each for a closing statement. Candidate Louden, will you go first?
Sure. First off, thank you so much to the League of Women Voters. I very, very much appreciate your diligence in keeping all of our local voters informed in a way that's easily accessible and free, which is so important. It's my pleasure to be here today and sit next to these two gentlemen. The voters have a big decision to make come August 9th. If you're not, I hope people show up. It's important to have your voices heard. I'm just grateful to be here. And so far, my friends and my family and my neighbors and stuff that have been giving me such positive feedback, I appreciate you so much. And I really hope I get to be your new mayor.
Thank you. Candidate Shepherd.
Thank you for the opportunity to come in here and be heard and allow the citizens of Inoka to know a little bit more about me. And I hope that you vote according to who you feel is the best person to represent your city. If it's me, that's great. And if it's one of the other two, that's what you got to do. You vote based on how you feel. So if it's for me, I appreciate it. But I do feel like there are three good candidates here. So somebody who's going to be the next mayor is probably going to lead the city down the road to a good outcome. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Candidate Rice.
Thank you again to the League of Women Voters and the work that you do. Thank you to the other candidates for their time, their preparation, and their hard work that's ahead of them in meeting the community. My name is Phil Rice. I've lived in Inoka for over 30 years. My wife, Chris McCardle, and the past other two generations of her family are all lifelong residents of Inoka. We raised our 5 children here, and we enjoy entertaining our grandchildren. We have 7, an 8th one on the way, and our 2 youngest haven't started yet, so we're expecting maybe, our daughter says she wants 4. My son said, I think I'm going to be crazy and have 10. Well, we'll see about that.
You're a busy guy.
I'm employed as a mental health case manager. I consider myself socially moderate and financially conservative. I've served our community for a long time, both with the fire department and with the city council. I'm running for mayor, and I'm asking you to vote for me. Thank you.
The League of Women Voters thanks the candidates for speaking to the voters about the issues and for running for mayor of Inoka. Thanks, viewers, for your interest in becoming informed voters. As we move through the election season, links to all our local election forums are located at lwvabcmn.org, as well as the QCTV website and YouTube. If you need to register to vote or update your registration, you can do that online at mnvotes.org or in person when you go to vote. If you are interested in League of Women Voters, please visit our website at lwvabcmn.org. Women and men age 18 and older are welcome to join. Remember, the primary election is August 9th. Early voting is already open and will continue through August 8th. You can vote early at Inoka City Hall. You can find information on voting options and find your polling place on the Minnesota Secretary of State's website. Our democracy depends on citizen involvement. Make your voice heard in the primary election by voting on or before August 9th. Your vote is your voice.